American women spent decades campaigning for the right to vote, marching, appealing, and picketing the White House. Women were arrested, went on hunger strikes, and were force-fed, all to convince the men of Congress to give them the vote. Women could vote in many states, mostly in the West, by 1919, but it would take a constitutional amendment to give the right to all women. Congress finally passed an amendment on June 4, 1919, and sent it to the states for ratification. 3/4 of the states, 36 in all, had to ratify. The next presidential election would be held in fall 1920, and women wanted to vote. This is the story of what happened between June 14, 1919, and August 18, 1920, the day the 19th Amendment was ratified. At first, states raced to ratify. Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan fought to be the first on June 10th. In their haste to be first, Illinois approved the wrong language and had to vote again a week later. A dash to Washington by the father of National Women's Party member Ada James gave Wisconsin the first place position. 11 states ratified in the first month. All states with a sitting legislative body ratified right away. Texas called a special session of its legislature on June 28. Texas became the first southern state to ratify. 13 more states would convene in early 1920, but even if all 13 ratified, 12 more states would need to call special sessions to meet the fall 1920 goal. Montana was one of 15 states that had full suffrage before the National Amendment. They also sent the first woman to serve in Congress, Jeannette Rankin. After she was sworn in on April 2, 1917, one of the first things she did was to introduce the Susan B. Anthony Woman Suffrage Amendment to the House. She advocated for the amendment and worked to keep up publicity for women's suffrage. A steady stream of states ratified over the next few months. But after Washington ratified on March 22, 1920, the momentum stalled. Maryland, Virginia, Alabama, South Carolina, Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi had already rejected the amendment. That left just 6 states. There was strong opposition in the southern states. When the Tennessee legislature voted, the House of Representatives tied. A young representative named Harry Byrne originally voted no. Then he received a letter from his mother, Phoebe. She told him, "Don't forget to be a good boy and help Mrs. Thomas Cat with her rats. And hurrah and vote for suffrage, and don't leave them in doubt." The legislature took another vote, and Harry decided to listen to his mother. Tennessee was the final ratification needed. 2 days later, Secretary of State Bainbridge Colby declared the amendment law. Infamous suffragist Alice Paul said, "Women who have taken part in the long struggle for freedom feel today the full relief of the victory. Freedom has come not as a gift but as a triumph, and it is therefore a spiritual as well as a political freedom which women receive." They met the deadline and women voted in the 1920 presidential election. Between the 1916 and 1920 presidential elections, there was an increase of 8 million voters. However, women didn't vote in similar numbers as men until the 1980s.